The hush that swept Buckingham Palace felt almost electric, yet the tension was only beginning to coil. Prince William's private decree that his uncle, Prince Andrew, will be barred from public life for the rest of his days landed like a dagger wrapped in velvet. Everyone heard the blade, but no one saw it coming. A single question froze on every tongue: if William can cut away a blood prince, what else might the future king slice next? King Charles, already drawn thin by an unrelenting cancer battle, stared at his heir as though a stranger had slipped into the Prince of Wales's impeccably tailored skin. Charles had stripped Andrew's titles, certainly, yet he still nursed the faint hope that disgrace might fade with time. William's words shattered that illusion in one reverberating instant, an unspoken warning that misplaced mercy can break a crown faster than blunt force. Could a father ever reclaim equilibrium after watching his son swing the axe with such icy precision? Within minutes, whispers ricocheted through scarlet-carpeted corridors and up marbled staircases. Court officials clutched their phones like hand grenades, relaying code-red updates from equerry to chambermaid. Some felt a flutter of relief, others a chill of dread, but all sensed the monarchy had just crossed a hidden point of no return. If William could exile his own uncle, was anyone, courtiers, cousins, even distant dukes, truly untouchable? Princess Anne, famed for her Highland steel backbone, offered William a single, curt nod, eyes glittering with something between satisfaction and solemn pride. To Anne, sentiment is a luxury, duty is oxygen. Courtiers know she spends loyalty like loose change when the crown's survival is on the table. Her tacit blessing could nudge even the most reluctant advisers into William's camp before dawn, yet might it also deepen the fault line between the monarch and his only sister. In a briefing suite lined with gilt mirrors, aides unfurled fresh public opinion graphs. The news was merciless. Andrew's approval ratings hover in the cellar, a deadweight pulling the royal brand toward ruin. Insiders say William studied those plunging data points for weeks, lips pressed tight, pen tapping a relentless rhythm on polished mahogany. When numbers bleed, narratives hemorrhage, and the Prince of Wales will not risk credibility flatlining on his watch. Against this strategic backdrop, Charles battles his own silent enemy. Doctors counsel rest and moderation, the king counters with garden party schedules, red boxes at breakfast, and an iron vow not to yield. If you slow down, he whispered to a confidant, you may never start again. Yet even a monarch's willpower cannot erase the bone-deep fatigue creeping into nightly medical checks. Should the king falter, will William's ruthless clarity be the only anchor keeping the ship of state from drifting? William's antipathy toward Andrew is not merely institutional, it is personal, seasoned with wounds only a tight-knit family can inflict. Palace veterans still recall winter afternoons at Balmoral when a teenage William grimaced at his uncle's mocking jokes, or Catherine's first royal Christmas, when Andrew's cool reception left her bracing for every future encounter. Pain of that kind curdles slowly but remembers everything. Could personal vendetta complicate the new monarch's moral ledger? Outside palace gates, Andrew paces long corridors at Royal Lodge, clutching hopes of one last balcony appearance. He maintains that settling with Virginia Giuffre was pragmatic, not an admission, and dreams of handing out regatta prizes again. Yet each time his face resurfaces on a front page, public fury reignites, and the youngest generation of royals flinches at the blowback. How many reputations can one man scorch before even forgiveness turns to ash? Princess Anne's endorsement stiffens William's resolve. Behind closed doors, she is said to have remarked that rotting planks must be heaved overboard before the hull splits. Her blunt verdict now drifts through every royal office: hesitate and you drown. Will any advisor dare argue sentiment when the tabloids sharpen their knives at dawn? Charles's heart still bends toward reconciliation. He drafts imaginary speeches of forgiveness in twilight hours, scripts he may never deliver. Yet each day tightens William's grip, and even paternal instinct can buckle beneath constitutional math. clash too loudly with the air, and fractures could widen at the monarchy's weakest moment. Which instinct will Charles obey, fatherhood or statecraft, and at what cost? Then, as if the volcanic tension needed more fuel, news of Virginia Giuffre's death spread across social feeds, dragging that infamous Newsnight interview back into the limelight. Footage of Andrew defending an unlikely Pizza Express alibi looped beside headlines of Epstein's crimes. Hashtags trended overnight, editors pre-wrote fresh explainers, public anger crackled like static. William, watching the digital wildfire, concluded that no return could be allowed. One ember of Andrew in public life would reignite a blaze that charred everyone. As the palace steeled itself, a seemingly unrelated spectacle struck in Ottawa. King Charles, only the second monarch to open Canada's parliament, delivered a speech weaving reconciliation, climate pledges, and Commonwealth unity. Cameras, however, panned to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's petrol green Adidas gazelles peeking beneath his navy suit. Twitter roared, memes blossomed overnight. Courtiers grimaced. If modern optics can morph a historic address into a shoe debate, imagine the bedlam if Andrew strolled back into view. The Crown's image, already a high-wire act, simply cannot survive another wobble. In a sun-drenched nursery at Adelaide Cottage, Princess Catherine pretends cheer as she helps Charlotte braid a doll's hair, yet William's decision sits like frost on her shoulders. She understands better than anyone how far her husband will go to defend the institution, and how deeply he hurts when family must be sacrificed for duty. Will the emotional toll of this purge leave unseen hairline cracks in the House of Windsor's golden couple? Elsewhere, Beatrice and Eugenie watch events unfold with hearts clenched. Filial devotion clashes with acute public awareness. If their father's royal future is vaporized, how secure are their own footholds? A single generation stands between the York princesses and the abyss of total obscurity. Could William's hardline stance ripple through their lives, redrawing boundaries they have fought to make meaningful? Meanwhile, ancient courtiers haunted by precedent whisper of ghosts, the Duke of Windsor in exile, Princess Margaret's clipped wings. No prince has been cut off so abruptly in living memory. They fret that a family riven is a dynasty weakened, that the public might recoil from such cold steel pragmatism. William counters with even colder numbers. 21st century monarchies live or die by trust scores and engagement metrics. Sentimentality is no substitute for survival calculus. In silence thick as velvet, senior staff pin fresh briefings on corkboards. The future lineup gleams lean and powerful. King William, Queen Catherine, their photogenic children symbolizing renewal, Princess Anne a stalwart elder, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh reinforcing stability. Andrew's name has vanished entirely, a blank white square where a coat of arms once hung. Absence, here, shouts louder than any proclamation. Royal watchers note with rising fascination that William's early reign sketches, though theoretical, already carry the bite of law. Some hail his decisiveness as a tonic for an era of instant outrage, others brace for a colder, harder brand of monarchy. Which prediction will prove true, and what collateral damage might accumulate along the road to revitalization? For now, Andrew's world narrows to horse rides at dawn and solitary dinners under chandeliers more accustomed to laughter. Each night, his daughters call with kind words yet no solutions. Each morning, his legal team scans headlines for embers that might flare anew. And somewhere deep in Royal Lodge, a prince once named Britain's most eligible bachelor stands before a gilt mirror, wondering how the reflection became a cautionary tale. Back at Buckingham Palace, King Charles signs investiture scrolls with deliberate grace, masking the tremor that steals across his hand. He knows history will judge both his caution and his son's severity. In quieter moments, he wonders if the monarchy he bequeaths will sparkle or shard under relentless modern glare. Can shared purpose heal the invisible bruise now stretching across 3 generations? Autumn's first mists drift over the mall. Tourists press cameraphones against wrought iron railings, oblivious to the private drama humming overhead. They do not know that inside, the Windsors are splicing together a new survival manual, ruthlessly editing out every weakness. Where will the red ink halt, and who might find their chapter suddenly excised? William's voice still echoes in that hush, no comebacks. No half measures. The brand survives intact, or not at all. In a palace where silence often thunders, suspense crackles with every drawn breath. What other buried grievances will surface once William finally wears the crown, and who else may learn that the north wind he commands shows no mercy? For now, watchers wait, spellbound, uneasy, while a dynasty balances on a knife edge. Every heartbeat is a cliffhanger, and the next tremor could rewrite royal history before dawn.